What's going on, everybody? You know who it is, and you know what we do here. But for those of you that don't, it is your boy Trey Sense, aka LL Cool Trey, Trey Belafonte, or just plain old Trey. So what we're gonna talk about today are fragrances that just smell professional, or fragrances that will rock out, in my opinion, in an office setting. And all of this is based on my collection, what I have available as I sniff to me. No further ado, let's get right into it. But before we do, consider liking the channel, liking this video. If you haven't, subbing to the channel, and if it's not too much, by all means, consider, yeah, I said subbing? Sharing the video, that's next. From the house of Burberry, it is Burberry Hero EDP. This is a nice, masculine, leathery fragrance. I personally like it, and I like it a lot. I was late to the Hero party. I did not get the original Hero, and I did not get the Parfum. The only iteration that I have is the Eau de Parfum. I will probably eventually get the Parfum. I'm gonna wait till those prices decrease a little bit. Right now, it's just because when I saw it retail, I think it was like $180. And I'm just like, I personally can't pay that for a Burberry fragrance, or a Burberry fragrance. I can't do it. Can't do it, won't do it. So I'm gonna wait for the price to come down just a little bit on it. Well, just a lot. If I can get it for half of that, I may be a buyer, but 180, I can't do. And that's what I think Dillard's had it for, or Sephora, and maybe Kohl's, some of the places that I looked at online. I may go back and look at Joma Shop and see what they got it for, because I check 3 different places before I buy a fragrance. I check Joma Shop, I check Fragrance X, and I check Mint. And then, well, to be fair, I'll go to Macari and see what the average running price is on Macari. But I digress. Back to this one. To me, this one is very grown man. It does perform like a EDP. Sits a little closer to the skin. Not the best projection in the world. It does perform well, and it does sit on your skin for a very, very long time. I wore this one to work, and I received quite a few quite a few compliments on this fragrance. Again, to me, it's a little bit warm. It's a little bit leathery, but it does smell professional. I mean, I could see this being worn with a nice pair of slacks, a button-down shirt, and a jacket, and maybe even a Burberry scarf or something like that on a cold day like it is here today. I don't think the temperature got out of the 20s today. I mean, it was brutal when I got off work last night. It was 21 degrees, and that's cold here. I mean, that's cutting to the bone cold. But nonetheless, it's a great fragrance. I think it smells really, really good, and I think it smells very professional. I picked mine up on Macari, and I got 2 fragrances for $110. I think after tax, fees, and everything was $120 for this EDP, which is Burberry Hero, and YSL myself. I got them both for $110. That's about 60 bucks a fragrance. I didn't see how I could lose at that price, so I got them both. But from the house of Burberry, and yes, that is a house phone ringing. But from the house of Burberry, it is Burberry EDP. Let that chill out for a minute, because it totally throws me off. Okay, I digress now. Okay, this next one, a lot of you don't like this fragrance. I do. I do receive compliments when I wear it, and to me, the color, the name, everything just fits. It fits a guy my age, even the color of the bottle. From the house of Mont Blanc. It is Mont Blanc Legend Platinum. And I got this for a steal. I had $30 and some change on Macari. This was $33. No, this was $20-something After tax, fees, and everything that I had to pay, it came up to $34, $35. So I ended up paying $3 out of my own personal money to get this. Now, a lot of people don't like the fragrance, and I personally don't understand why. The last time I talked about this fragrance on the channel, it got a lot of hate. To me, it's a good smelling fragrance. I don't know if there's juniper berry in there, but it's a little bit mossy. It's a little bit fruity. It's a little bit sweet. A very masculine fragrance. Part of the reason why I like this fragrance is you're not going to catch a lot of guys wearing it because it is not super mass appealing. It is not over the top with sweetness. It's sort of a throwback to the 80s, 70s and 80s, maybe even early 90s of a style of fragrance. But I like it. I think it works well with my chemistry, my personality, who I am. And I just think it smells really, really good. And again, to me, it just smells nice and professional. Again, nice and clean. I think a hint of vetiver in there would have really set that fragrance off. I don't think it's any in there, but still, I think it's a nice, clean, masculine, easy to wear fragrance. Again, we're talking about fragrances that smell professional, so you're going to be dressed a little bit, professional, whether that's a V-neck and a jacket and some slacks or whatever your version of professional is. Everybody's situation is different. Well, this old Sauvage Elixir. Everybody's situation, that little thing right there, man. Everybody's situation is a little bit different, so everybody's idea of professional is not quite the same. But we're talking about a nice office setting where you may have to give a meeting or a speech or something. I think both of these fragrances would do really, really well. This next one, any kind of professional, this fragrance will do well. From the house of Bleu de Chanel, it is from the house of Chanel, it is Bleu de Chanel, and this is the Eau de Parfum. Not the Parfum, not the EDT, right there in the middle. This is the EDP, and I like this one. I don't really have a favorite out of the Chanels. I like them all. I like the OG. I like the latest rendition, which would be the Parfum, and I like the EDP. I have all three, and I have the biggest bottles of the EDT and the EDP that you can get. And I think this is perfect for right in the middle. It's a little bit deeper than the EDT, but not as deep as the Parfum. Not as fresh as the EDT, but fresher than the Parfum. So I think it is right there in the middle. I think Chanel did a great job with that. In my humble opinion, if you buy a Chanel product and you're talking fragrance, to me, this is the designer brand that gets as close to niche from a designer standpoint that you can get. Maybe Tom Ford you could argue that point about as well. But this one, I certainly think is niche quality, and I certainly think this one is too. There are several fragrances, like I talk about this fragrance a lot because I've just been blown away with it since I got it. Hugo Boss Triumphant Elixir, I think, is another one that has niche qualities as well. Great smelling fragrance, and I like it. I like it a lot. This one is no exception. Any of the Chanel products, it doesn't matter which one you get, you're getting a high quality designer fragrance with them. I'll throw Dior in there as well. I think Dior fragrances offer you a lot of bang for the buck. It's just you have to be careful with some of the Dior fragrances because they're coming close to $200 now with their 100 mils in some of their fragrances, and that's entering niche prices. Low end niche, but niche is niche, right? But this one I really, really do like. The incense are toned down a little bit. The grapefruit is turned down a little bit. Again, to me, it sits right in the middle between the EDT and the EDP, and I just absolutely love this fragrance. One of my favorites in my collection, any of the Chanels. But I think that is a very professional smelling fragrance. This next one, I think, is one that a lot of you have slept on. and it's not really talked about. It doesn't get a lot of talk. It's not really overly hyped. I think it's a great smelling fragrance. I love the house. The house is Giorgio Armani. The fragrance is Armani Code, and it's Armani Code Parfum. So I already sprayed some of these on, doing a little bit of testing to get ready for this video. And this is one I like. This is one I like. The reason that I think this one would go great in a professional type of setting, it just comes across as so clean, but it has a certain sweetness to it, but it's not an overpowering sweetness that's going to make anybody think that you're youthful or trying to be young or anything. This fragrance, worn the right way and dressed the right way, I think will be killer. I think when you walk in the room with this on and you walk down through there, people are going to notice it. They're going to pay attention, and they're not going to know what it is. They're going to be like, what is that he's wearing? He smells good. But it's a modern scent, and it's a familiar scent, so it's not going to be like you're wearing something that is a $7,000 or $8,000 fragrance that they're going to be like, I don't know, I'm scared to ask it. It's very, very modern, but it's also, if a fragrance could be approachable, then this one would be approachable. Because it's not going to put people off to the point where I'm not going to ask him what that is, because I know it's probably expensive. You're not going to get that vibe from this fragrance. You're just going to get nice, professional, clean, and it smells really, really good. From the house of Armani, from the house of Giorgio Armani, it is Armani Code Parfum. Give this one a try, guys. Now I have to admit that Chanel is really kicking up. And that Burberry is really settling down. It's becoming, at this point, a very resinous fragrance. Very masculine, but it does smell very professional. Almost has like a really good clean soap smell to it without smelling soapy, but that's good. This next one, from the house of YSL. It's a sweet, sweet fragrance, but I like it, and there's something about it that compels me to put it in this video. I don't like it as much as I like the original. From the house of YSL, it is Myself Le Parfum. I still prefer the original, but the original is a little bit more juvenile and a little bit more playful, where this one is not. Now it is really, really sweet. Is that lavender in here? Now the thing about this one, if I were gonna wear this one to a meeting or something like that, I would spray it long before I got there. I would not spray this and then get in my car and go there, or spray it right before I walked in, because it could come off as a little bit too sweet, and it might come off as a little bit too strong. So I would spray my suit jacket or my shirt or whatever I was wearing, my sweater, a little bit before. That way they get the dry down stage of it, not the opening. Definitely sweet, but I think I'm getting more used to the sweetness in this fragrance, is what it could be. When I first got it, I was like, when I first got it and the first time I wore it, I was like, whoa, whoa. I was like, whoa, that's really sweet. Yeah, that's nice though. I say go easy on the sprays on this one, maybe 3 sprays. You don't want to overdo it with this one. I think this is one of those where less is more. But I think people catching wafts of you as you move and walk through, I think it'll come across as very well received. I say again, it is sweet. Probably by far the sweetest fragrance on this list, and one of the sweetest fragrances I have in my collection. So yeah, from the house of YSL, it is Le Parfum. From the house of Parfums de Marly, it is Layton. And you know the DNA of this. It's inspired several different fragrances. Abercrombie and Fitch Fierce, Mont Blanc Legend. See if I have a spot available to spray this. I think I can get it right there. This is not a fragrance I wear a whole lot because I have so many other things that smell like it. To me, the opening of this fragrance is a little bit rough. It's a little bit, I don't want to use the word off-putting, but that's the only word I know to use. It's a little bit off-putting, a little bit strong, a little bit abrasive. But when you get to that dry down, that's when the magic starts to happen with Layton. As the opening, I don't care what anybody says, it comes off like rubber menthol. And you would think, well, how can you even get through or get to a point where you enjoy the fragrance? Because that dissipates and you get to the dry down. Now, it is one of those fragrances, again, that is polarizing, and people know it once you get to a certain stage of it. The opening, like right now, you saw when I sprayed it, right now we're at that menthol stage where it smells like straight Vicks Vapor Rub. And it's gonna smell like Vicks Vapor Rub for just a minute. But when it gets through that, you're gonna get a nice, clean, vanilla type of scent that just works well. It just works well. It just comes across as professional. It just comes across as a little bit different. Not everybody's gonna wear this fragrance because a lot of people are gonna spray that and they're gonna be like, wow. I can't wear that. Not understanding that you have to give fragrances a minute to do what it's gonna do. But that menthol hangs around in the beginning pretty tough. Another one that I would put on this list from the same house is Godolphin. I would almost wish now I had put Godolphin in here as opposed to this one, but now we're starting to get to that dry down and it's starting to open up a little bit more. That menthol is starting to dissipate and it's getting a little bit better. This one is new to my collection. I just picked it up Saturday from the house of Ralph Lauren. It is Ralph Club, and I just did a video on it. But this one I think is a very masculine, professional smelling fragrance. I think it falls in the same wheelhouse as Sauvage Elixir, but I think this one is better than Sauvage Elixir. I think it's a little bit more wearable. It is very professional. It is very smoky. It is very green. Much like this, it's sort of a throwback fragrance. It brings me 70s, 80s, and 90s vibes, but so does this. But it's the type of fragrance that I feel like a successful man or a professional man would wear. I don't see, and I'm not knocking it because I was 21, 22 at one point, but I don't see a 21, 22-year-old man walking in the dealers going, hey, let me see that Ralph Club right there, and wanting to smell like this. I think it's one that you're gonna have to have some age on you to really like and to appreciate. I could be totally wrong, but I don't feel like I am. But that's the sense that I get from this fragrance. Just comes across as very, very professional. It's very smooth, but it gives me a nice mossy vibe to it. I like it. I like it a lot. From the house of Ralph Lauren. It is Ralph Club, and that is the Elixir. All right, guys, that have been 7 fragrances from my collection that I think are really good fragrances and smell really, really professional. All right? And if you have them in your collection and you got something that you got to do this upcoming winter, maybe a new job interview, or maybe you got to speak at an occasion or an event or something, either of these fragrances that you have in your collection will do well, and I think you will be smelling nice and professional and successful when you're doing that. So with that being said, I'm gonna get off of here, edit it. I'll probably edit it late tonight because I'm getting ready to watch the Notre Dame Fighting Irish take on Ohio State in the championship game. So I love you all, and may God bless you all. Until next time, guys, peace.